Hello, I'm Carla Calabrese,
And I'm Lee Budner. We're partners at Calabrese Budner, a family law firm in Dallas, Texas.
and this is Dallas Divorce Talk. Welcome back to Dallas Divorce Talk. I'm Carla Calabrese, your host, and I'll be talking today with you about a question I get a lot as a divorce lawyer, which is, people are really worried about their kids and how their kids are going to fare during a divorce. They want to know if their kids are going to be okay. And that's some of the question. That's sometimes the first thing I get out of somebody's, mouth when they're sitting down and I'm talking to them is, well, are my kids going to be okay? Are they going to be all screwed up? I'm here to say that I want to tell a little story about kids and divorce that I learned about in the last several years. First, I want to tell you about collaborative divorce. What is really nice about collaborative divorce, as you know, this series is about collaborative divorce and how I think collaborative divorce addresses so many aspects of divorce in a much better way than litigation. In collaborative divorce, we now, 20 years in, we bring child specialists into almost every case, and a child specialist, their role is very limited. They are there to simply interview the children. And they interview adult children too, because a lot of what we talked recently about the graying divorce, we have a lot of children in college that parents are going through divorce. They're adults, but they're impacted similarly. So we can have a child specialist interview even a college age kid or a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old if need be. But typically it's kids that are still living in the home. And they're interviewing them just to help them understand what's going on. It's an interview, and it's also kind of information for the kids. What are your parents going through? Nothing specific, no inappropriate knowledge, anything like that. But it's just a way for the kids to be heard and to get a little bit of an understanding about what's going on with their parents. We say that a child specialist is brought into a process not to give the kids a vote, but just a voice. So let's say you have minor children and you're working out a parenting plan. They will ask the children, kind of what they think about being in mom's home, being in dad's home, transitioning, what's the best way to do that? Again, it's not so that they can make a decision because they're too young. That's the parents' prerogative to make decisions about the kids. But it's often good just to have their input. And that's how we do it with the child specialist. What's interesting about the child specialist and collaborative is in litigation, you don't really have that. Oftentimes in litigation, it's I want my kid to talk to the judge. I want the judge to hear what my kid has to say because they're having custody battles, things like that. Those are difficult because many times kids, they don't really want to go talk to the judge. And judges really don't want to talk to children unless they really feel like they have to, and they really need to be older as well to do that. But in collaborative, what we learned over the last 23 years is when I have some colleagues that did a study. It was a very fascinating study about children in divorce. And the premise was they believed, because we had been, let's say 15 years into collaborative, they were like, kids in collaborative definitely are going to be better off. They're going to interview them and they're going to tell us how great collaborative is as opposed to litigation. So what they did is they went out and they interviewed, they tried to get children that had been through litigated divorces, and they got children that went through collaborative divorces. The interesting thing is they could not get one single child in this particular study to be interviewed from the litigation aspect because the parents were saying things like, well, that was a horrible experience. Why would I ever put my children through that again? And they did this for over about a 2-year period. They just couldn't find any family that were willing to give up their minor children to talk about divorce. So unfortunately, we didn't have that, but we did have children that had been through collaborative divorce. Some had a child specialist and many had not. So when the children that were interviewed about the collaborative experience and what it felt like, the ones that didn't have a child specialist, it became very clear to the researchers that those children felt confused throughout the process. Even though their parents were in a much more civil, conciliatory, amicable process, the kids were still very confused. They felt like nobody reached out to them. Why didn't anybody ask me? Why didn't anybody talk to me? We thought they were going to say, yay, collaborative. My parents did collaborative. It was all great. And they did not find that out. What they found was that children who had child specialists where they were able to have, and I mind you, this is not a lengthy or expensive part of the process. We're talking 3 visits with the kids, an hour each. Those children really came forward and said, I talked to the child specialist, and it was very clear to me that my parents felt like they cared what I thought. I understood I didn't get a vote. I understood this was just a voice, but it really mattered to me. So for those of you who are thinking about divorce, you have children, collaborative is another, like I said, a great way to, I don't want to say ensure, but certainly increase the opportunities that your kids will be okay. And then make sure your lawyer says, hey, we're going to get a child specialist in. It's not a whole lot of money, but it's a lot of bang for the buck. And it's really great for your children. Till next time. If you would like to talk more about your family law matter, please call us at 214-939-3000 or visit us at calabresebudner.com to schedule a consultation.
For more episodes, visit us at dallasdivorcetalk.com, like and subscribe.